Yeah, so these videos and the photos show that some really, exceptional activity at the ocean entry. We have this open lava stream. Um, People commonly call it a fire hose, basically an open, airborne lava stream pouring out of the tube directly into the ocean. The tube is perched up on the sea cliff, about 20 yards or so. So there's 20 yards of free fall there that the lava is making. It's coming out as this very beautiful lava stream and impacting the water. And where it impacts the water, we have these kind of pulsating littoral explosions. So pulsating explosions of steam and fragmented lava. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. I've been here 9 years. I haven't seen anything quite like this. What's really unusual about this is that these kind of fire hoses have happened before, but they're generally relatively short-lived uh, because inevitably the lava crusts over or it builds up a pile of lava at the base of the sea cliff and eventually tubes over. This has been open for quite a while, and so it's kind of unusual in how long this has lasted. Well, all we can say is our best guess is that collapse around New Year's Eve actually just removed a lot of material, and so that there's basically a large area where lava can basically pour down, and it's basically just not nothing. There's nothing to accumulate on. At least that's our best guess. And so basically, that the reason is that most likely it's because of that very large collapse on New Year's Eve. Yeah, in most cases, we would have seen a lava delta start to build out. They can build within a matter of days. It's been several weeks now, and we haven't seen the formation of any delta. So that's telling us that whatever material there is under the water, that kind of underwater topography, or what's called bathymetry, has really changed, or there's a major change on New Year's Eve, or at least that's what we presume. The delta had been, I think it was about 26 acres. So, it was a moderate to large size delta. And the entirety of that collapsed on New Year's Eve over the course of several hours. And what was unusual about that collapse is that it also caused a section of the older sea cliff that had been there for years to collapse away too, about 300 meters, a section about 300 meters long of the sea cliff. It cut into the sea cliff about, I think it was about, or let's say 300 yards long. It cut into the sea cliff about, I think, about 70 yards, as I recall. So that was a major, a pretty big chunk of that older sea cliff that fell off. That has happened before. It does occasionally happen when you have these delta collapses that it takes out an old section. Presumably it might just remove some of that support, or or those vibrations and the disruption from the delta collapse triggers instability in the older sea cliff. This is a little unusual because this older section of sea cliff that collapsed was kind of adjacent to the side of that delta that collapsed. Previously, those older sections of sea cliff were pretty much directly behind the delta. So this was a little unusual that the reach of that collapse was a little farther than what we've seen before. Yeah, we always reiterate that there can be serious hazards at the ocean entries. The ocean entries are arguably the most dangerous part of the whole flow field. There have been injuries and deaths at ocean entries before. So they are, something that needs to be taken very seriously. And in general, you never want to approach very close to an ocean entry. There's a number of different hazards. Of course, there is explosions. We're having those right now. There's actually material from these explosions being thrown back onto the sea cliff. And of course, there's the possibility of collapse. And currently what we saw, and we posted this on our webpage, a thermal image of that entry area, is that the sea cliff, a section of the sea cliff around in the immediate area of the ocean entry, has a hot crack kind of parallel to the shore. That suggests that block, that area around the ocean entry itself, could be very unstable and it could collapse. So it's another reason that people don't, you don't want to get very close to the ocean entry, and that's the reason why the park has this rope barrier that keeps people more than 300 yards or so away from the entry.